It's the Gitty Gang Show on Cigar Box Nation TV. It's the Gitty Gang Show on Cigar Box Nation TV. And we're coming to you live from CB Gitty. It's the Gitty Gang Show.
Gitty Gang Show.
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 It's the Gitty Gang Show on Cigar Box Nation TV.
And you're live. Hey everybody, welcome again to the Gitty Gang Show. Got Glenn Watt over here. I'm Ben Gitty Baker, and of course, as always, we've got Mr. Nick Lanciano behind the producer's desk.
Hey guys.
We've got a good show, hopefully a great show.
Absolutely.
Let's not undersell. We've got a great show lined up for you today.
Yeah, buddy.
Hope you enjoy it as much as we're about to. I'm going to say that. So what we've got coming up, a couple of cool videos. Our good friend Del Puckett, I saw his name out there, one of the first names that popped up on the screen. Del Puckett submitted a video talking about some alternative tunings, kind of in the same vein as the What's the Deal with Speal segment last week. Speaking of Mr. Speal, got another great video from him talking about, what is he talking about this week? I watched it and I couldn't even tell you if I had to tell you right now.
It's how to take what you've learned on the 3-string and take it to a 6-string.
Ah, that's right. I don't want to say graduating because they are kind of different things, but yeah, being able to pick up a 6-string guitar and make use of some of what you've learned on the 3-string. So that'll be a good thing. And of course we got a video feature from our good friend Jim Morris, who recreated a historic homemade fiddle only from a photograph. So we'll talk about that more a little bit later. I want to thank you for joining us. Remind you to share this live video on Facebook if you happen to be watching it on Facebook. Share it publicly and let the world know. We're doing our best to let the world know about homemade instruments, cigar box guitars, the idea that anyone anywhere can build what they play and play what they love. And you can help us spread that word by sharing these broadcasts. Yeah, bud. All right, briefly, Glenn and I are about to do a song, a good old country song, Pancho and Lefty, written by Townes Van Zandt and made famous, I think most famous, probably by Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings. Did this as a duet back in the, what was that, the early 80s? Late 70s? Somewhere back there, but beautiful song. But before we do that, I want to talk about the winners of last week's giveaway. Now, Glenn Watt, what are you holding there? What are you playing today?
What do we got? This the special limited edition graphic box top for our special limited edition graphic box top lid kit that's easily assembled into its own box guitar using a neck that we sell here, fully fretted, fully assembled, fully pre-drilled and sanded. Just got to add the tuners, bridge, and in this case, pull the old a la Shane Speal, king of the cigar box guitar, putting a preamp in after the fact, a little Ron Pizzo underneath the bridge. The thing's a screamer.
Wicked screamer.
Wicked
so
screamer.
Last week I said 5 people could win the box kit with that limited edition top. This is one, I'm shaking it around. This is one of those tops in its unassembled form. You get the top and then the sides and the back. You put the kit together. All it takes are a couple of big rubber bands, which are included in the kit. You supply the wood glue. So the 5 names that were chosen now, if to claim this prize, I need you to contact me. So if you hear your name, send me a message on Facebook. So we got Rick Flink is one of the winners. I think I already saw his name pop up out there. We got Peggy Tramble, a repeat winner here of the Gitty Gang giveaway. It's been a while. Alan Croucher over there in the UK. Daniel Laris, I believe from down in New York near Binghamton, and Rich Librant from out in Seattle, Washington. Terrific. So those are our 5 winners. Send me a message on Facebook if you heard your name there. And I had said last week you can either choose to get this limited edition, it's an old classic tattoo art is what this is. Or if you prefer, you can submit your own photo, your own image, and I'll print that on the box and send that to you. So those are the winners of last week. So we're hearing that the sound is not great, lots of echo. Is the studio? We're trying some new soundful things today.
So there's actually like a alternate audio.
There's an echo. I'm trying to figure out. Is it 1 through 4 or 1 through 4?
Echo, echo, 1, 2, 3, 4. We got a lot of sound stuff going on here today, folks. So we're gonna try to get it fixed before we launch into this here song. Sorry about that.
You sure there's nothing else playing?
What's causing the echo?
Well, howdy ho, friends. Here's me in my echoey land of echoes. Going to repeat some of the things that we're going to go over today. Actually, Kim, what do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah.
About what?
What's a song that
I
we
just
can
came to help.
Yeah, what's a song that we can play together?
Should we play something so they can try to figure it out?
Yes.
Okay.
How about?
Yeah, the
Oh,
echo's
he's
gone,
back.
so that's why.
All right, is the echo gone?
Oh, sure.
Thank you, Kim Star.
Sure.
All right, went over and fiddled with some knobs. I tell you what, there's a lot of knobs and buttons with which to fiddle. Close the door.
Hey-o! So thank you again for joining us. I know it's a little bumpy to start, but thank you again for joining us. If you have the wherewithal, Henry Lohman, Henry Lohman, I saw you out there earlier saying that you shared. If you don't mind, as you're watching this right now, you to whom it is that I am speaking, please consider sharing the show publicly.
That's some fancy word talk right there.
And it's, I don't think I used it right. But please consider sharing the show publicly. It really, what we're trying to do is reach people so that they can also discover the joys of building and playing their own musical instruments just like you.
This is DIY TV, folks. I don't know if you've noticed yet, but we do our best to not take ourselves too seriously. We try to have a good time. We hope that you have a good time, too.
Yeah.
Sounds fine. Okay, we got it.
Good.
I'll tell you what was happening. We were accidentally feeding the output of the whole thing back in as a ghosted input.
Right.
Remember I said I heard an echo earlier and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from? Because that's what it was.
All right. Well, we're going to sing a song now that we're all sorted out. And...
Excellent.
All right.
Let's do it up.
Pancho and Lefty in the key of C. I'm on a 3-string open G hobo fiddle, short scale, and Glenn Watt here on the 3-string open G. Oh, pokey string ends.
Sailor beware.
God.
Beware.
Yeah, I'm aware. Beware. All right, here we go. Living on the road, my friend, it's gonna keep you free and clean. Now you wear your skin like iron, your breath is hard as kerosene. You want your mama's only boy, but her favorite one it seems. She began to cry when you said goodbye. Pancho was a bandit, boys. His horse was fast as polished steel. For his gun outside his pants, for all the honest world to feel. Pancho met his match, you know, on the deserts down in Mexico. Nobody heard his dying words. All the federales say they could have had him any day, only let him slip away. Out of kindness, I suppose. Lefty, he can't sing the blues all night long like he used to. The cussed Pancho bit down south up in Lefty's mouth. The day they laid poor Pancho low, Lefty split for Ohio, where he got the bread to go. Ain't nobody knows. fell. Lefty's living in a cheap hotel. Desert's quiet and Cleveland's cold. So the story ends, we're told. Pancho needs your prayers, it's true, but save a few for Lefty too. He only did what he had to do. Now he's growing old. All the federales say they could have had him any day. Only let him slip away. Out of kindness I suppose. A few great federales say they could have had him any day. Only let him go so long. Out of kindness I suppose. Well done. Alright, well thank you for that. Thank you Glenn Watt for playing along. A little Pancho and Lefty there for you. Good old country song. So, without further ado, I want to roll up or roll out or do something here with a great video that our good buddy Del Puckett sent in for us to play this week, talking about further on the theme of some alternate tunings. I think C, E, G,
You're
a
correct.
C major tuning. So, here you go, Del.
Alright, greetings fellow cigar box guitar enthusiasts. Del Puckett here. Check out that awesome skyline, isn't that awesome? Nice overcast day here in Portland, Oregon. Today it's brought to you by Swag. I'd like to shout it out to cbgitty.com for all the free reward stuff that they hand out whenever you buy stuff from their store. Anyhow, so I want to show you, number one, this guitar here. This is, you've seen it before, it's number 4. And the reason why I called it number 4 is because you can see there's 4 tuning pegs there. And there's 4 string things here. So that if you wanted to put 4 strings on here, I don't know why you would, but you have the option. So I did it, but I realized that the neck was too thin here. Anyhow, this video here I want to talk about open C tuning, open C tuning. So if you're familiar with cigar box guitar tuning, the majority of the people tune G, D, G, G, D, G. So what I do is I leave this top G alone and I tune this D down a whole step to C, and then I tune the high G down a step and a half down to E. So what I have here is G, C, E. Okay, so that's a C chord. The root is in the middle, the 3rd is on top, and the 5th is in the bass. Alright, so here's a couple of the chord shapes that you can play around with when you're in this tuning here. Open. And then I'm going to take this and move it around. You can see I'm leaving the middle string open. So, there's lots of cool things that you can do once you get familiar with these tunings here. If you wanted to do your blues, there's a bunch of different ways you could do that. You could rock it back and forth like this on the open. And it also be great for slide because the one finger bar chord still works. But what is really cool about this thing here is getting these dominant 7th chords. So, for the open C tuning, if I build my chord here, this makes a dominant 7 chord. Okay, so you can see the dot there. I'm here at the 5th fret.
Hey everybody!
Hey!
We're back. Sorry about that. Looks like it cut off a little soon, but thank you again to Dell for sending that in. Now, we're over here practically miles away from where we started out on the Gitty Mill stage now. We're not quite to the third half of today's show, but want to talk to you a little bit about something I think's exciting that happened this week. A new product released that hopefully will prove somewhat, I don't want to oversell it, but revolutionary to a lot of people to enable you to cut perfect scarf joints, or perfect enough for cigar box guitars, scarf joints by hand in your necks. Now, I've been seeing, we got our tablet going here with your comments scrolling by, and I saw some people mentioning getting out into the yard this weekend, getting out into the garden, doing some rototilling and doing some work, because of course it is Memorial Day weekend. So we want to wish you all, preemptively, a happy Memorial Day weekend. I hope that it's a good one for everyone, wherever you are, and that, you know, we all take some time to remember the reason for the holiday, remembering those who have died fighting for the freedoms and the things that we enjoy here in America. So, this is the Scarf Joint Miter Box Kit. Now this is the assembled version, of course. It comes as a set of, I believe, 11 pieces and a baggie of screws. I did a video earlier this week showing how to put it together. There's no glue necessary to assemble this, but yet, even without glue, it ends up being
rigid.
a tank.
It's a tank.
And it was designed that way because when you're cutting a scarf joint, which I'm actually going to do here in a couple of minutes, using a handsaw, you don't want things flexing, you don't want the saw blade able to move all that much, you don't want anything moving, because any movement, any shifting can yield a crooked scarf joint. And if you ever tried to do one by hand, making a homemade miter or jig, you'll know that any sort of offness is really hard to correct.
Oh,
so,
I know.
Well, Glenn, you actually have a video out there showing people one method for trying to do it.
And then freehanding it.
Yeah, free body.
It takes some practice, man, but it can be done.
You know, it can be. Like most things, wood is a shapeable, formable thing. If you cut a bad angle, you can sit down with a piece of sandpaper stuck on a flat block and you can sand the thing flat. But of course, the better the cut you get to start with, the easier it's going to be. And that's what this was designed to do. Now, Michael Capato, I don't know if he's out there today or not, but our good buddy Michael Capato started this journey, started me on this journey, I believe, 2 weeks ago. He's like, hey, why don't you do a miter box? You've got your miter box for cutting fret slots, why not do one for scarf joints? And I was like, that's a great idea, why don't I? Sat down and started designing. This is the first prototype I came up with. Just a rough prototype because cutting on the laser cuts a 90-degree cut. You know, it's always straight up and down. It can't do angled cuts. So, of course, if you've got a saw trying to do that angled miter joint, but yet your slots aren't angled, so I did a test one using this, and it came out, I mean, it looked vaguely like a scarf joint, but it was a mess. And after that, I was like, well, I can't do angled slots, and I was starting to feel a little discouraged. I mean, I don't know if I can do this. And then someone, remember who it was? It was Glenn T. Watt, folks, says, you know, he did some sketching, he got his thoughtful look on it. And then a few minutes later, he brought over this sketch, like, why not lay the board flat? I was like, huh, lay the board flat, how the hell would that work? So this was prototype 1, fail. Prototype 2, laying the board flat, and with the laser cut slot coming down this way. So I put the neck in there, tried cutting one, and it was better. It was better, but I had a lot of movement. These side panels were moving, the whole thing was moving, the blade was flexing around, like, but it was enough to tell me that there's promise. So the second prototype, a little bit better, but still a fail. The third prototype, sorry Nick, getting a little carried away with my prototype tossing. The third prototype starts to look more like the finished thing. I tripled the side walls, all with the same slot, and they're all screwed together. Put a top piece on to kind of link them together. Put them down through a dual base plate that kind of lock together and help anchor everything. And this was the first full success. I clamped a neck in here and cut pretty darn close to a perfect scarf joint on it. Now, in doing so, I learned a couple of things. The saw blade came down and cut into the wood of the base. So I was like, well, I need some kind of gap there for that, and maybe 2 layers here on the bottom. It's still flexed a little bit. So, third one, I don't want to throw this one because this is getting closer to usable.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, man.
Then, I know you can't see it that closely. I added the notch for the blade to go down into, added notches here for a depth stop. Basically a little piece that snaps in there so that if you insert a neck up to this depth stop, you will get a 5 1/4 inch headstock once she's glued up, which is the size that we produce on our necks here in the Gitty shop. Also the angle, the angle that this is at is a 15-degree angle, which is what we use here in the Gitty shop, and is kind of a standard for scarf joint headstock. So yeah, also added a hanging hole here so you can hang it on a nail above your bench. And then of course the final version, which we are now selling and shipping, they've been flying out the door. I should actually be out there cutting more of them right now instead of being on this here show. But we added the branding at the top and a couple of other tweaks. Tripled the base. Now it's triple base, triple wall. The thing is a tank, and I'll show you how you use it, folks. You get your 1x2 piece of neck stock here. This happens to be poplar, and we should probably get these coffee cups off. This bench is a little wobbly for this sort of shenanigan, but exactly 1.5 inches is what this is made to accept, and it's got to be snug so that the neck doesn't shift around. So if your neck's a little bit bigger than 1.5 inches, it's probably not going to fit in there. So I've inserted the neck stock up to the depth stop, and then I've got 2 squeeze clamps here. You could use C-clamps, or you could mount this to a board, a bigger board, or even your bench top if you wanted to. So I clamp this end on, and then the second clamp I'm going to put over the neck and all, like so, to hold that in place. And then I've got this flush cut saw. I've got a link in the listing on cbgitty.com. I think I got this. This is an Irwin. Might have got it from Home Depot. But a flush cut saw has a thin kerf, and the teeth don't extend out past the width of the blade. On like a cross cut saw, like your standard hand saw, if you look at it, those teeth edges stick out wider than the blade. You want something where that's not the case, because that will cut into the wood of these slots pretty quick. What you got?
A lot of nice people saying nice things, but
okay.
Good stuff.
Well, if you have any questions as I'm babbling along here, ask them in the comments. We'll do our best to get to them. So I've taken my flush cut saw, got it started into the slot, and it's now engaging the wood of the neck. So I'm going to start sawing here. Now go ahead.
Jim Morris brought up an interesting idea. I can recognize you out there, Jim, as Kim Neal Morris, but Jim said, or wrote, this is almost like Thomas Edison's many failures before he got the light bulb right. And what I'm appreciating about this is just that it took many iterations before Ben got to his final product. It wasn't just like I have an idea, I'll make something, and here it is. Like, it took a long time for Ben to sift through and have headaches through the design process.
Well, I knew it had to be right. It had to be a tank. It had to work easily for people out there. It couldn't be halfway. It couldn't be almost. It had to really be good. Now, of course, like with any handsaw thing, it takes a little bit of time. You're cutting through pretty good expanse of 1.5 inch wide wood here.
Now, Norman Haley, there are always shenanigans involved.
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans. And Rusty Taylor, it's good to see you, my man.
Now, here's something you need to know about this. This entire kit is made of plywood. I'm doing my best to saw gently but firmly and keeping the blade as parallel to the slot as possible, which is important. Over time, that slot will widen because you're using wood to guide a wood saw. That's one important reason for using a flush cut, so you're not widening it too soon. Speed it up, Baker. Come on.
And like Martin says, it is Marty made in America. Thank you for bringing that up. And
I'm almost there, folks.
Yeah, and Corb Cole really wants to get those hips moving.
Well, there's a reason we put the bench in front of me today. If you saw the initial video out in the shop, there was a lot more shimmying and shaking going on. I believe someone suggested that a grass skirt might be. It's like the world doesn't need that, folks. Come on.
Coconut bikini top, grass skirt.
No.
Yeah, he's gotten scarf boots again.
It's good to see you, Rob Roble. How you been, brother?
All right, so you can pretty much feel when you get through the neck wood. Take your clamps off, take your depth stop out, you pull out that neck there, and you pull out your headstock piece. Knock off a little dust. And what you've got there is pretty darn close to a perfect.
Show the people what you got. Show the people
Coming out of the booth!
I'm coming out of the booth! Like Toll Booth Willie.
$1.25, Paul. So you got pretty much a perfect scarf joint there. Just a little bit of light sanding, like with 220 grit sandpaper. There might be a little bit of a nub there you take off. And when you put it together, slap some glue in there and clamp it down. You should end up with a nice tight joint there. Much tighter than just going at it by hand with a handsaw. So that is...
And that was pretty quick. That was
fairly quick.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to rush it because, keeping the saw blade as parallel as possible to these slots does help, help the whole thing go.
They're thin saws, so they like to flop around.
Yeah, if you try to push too hard or you get off center, they will bend a little bit, but just nice, gentle, steady pressure. So we've shipped out, since this went live day before, Wednesday afternoon, but we didn't really announce it till tomorrow morning. There's been like 25 of them already shipped out. I've got the laser running out there now, hopefully finished up with the next batch of them. Cut two at a time actually here, and then you put them together and good stuff. And I'm working on the next thing, which is the gluing jig that goes along with this, that will help you hold everything right in place and clamp it and get it glued. So that is the scarf joint miter jig, available now at cbgitty.com, $22.99. I really tried hard to keep the price of this one as low as I could. That price is based on the cost of the sheet of plywood it takes to cut it, the cut time of the laser, because it takes 13.5 minutes roughly to cut 2 of them, and then plus setup and load down and packaging time and all of that. So I really try to keep the price of this one as low as I can, not really charging for the many hours I put into the design.
And I, for one, appreciate that transparency. So there's that.
So yeah, this is one of a number of new tools and jigs and things that I hope to be developing. And thank you again to Michael Capato, who helped jumpstart the process. I'm going to be sending him a free one as a thank you for submitting the idea. So, all right, well, we've got... What's the deal with Speal?
What's the deal with Speal?
What is the deal with Speal? Shane, this week, as we said, talking about taking some of what you've learned for the 3-string cigar box guitar and being able to put it to use on a 6-string conventional guitar, whether homemade or not. So, here's Shane Speal, and we'll see you again shortly.
Thanks, Gitty Gang. Hey, guys, it's Shane Speal, and welcome to What's the Deal with Speal? Today I want to talk about everything that I have learned on cigar box guitar. I have been taking and putting that into how I play slide 6-string guitar. So this lesson is especially perfect for you guys that have found your freedom in 3-string cigar box guitar. Man, that's going out of tune. Get in there. All right. If you found your freedom in the 3-string cigar box guitar, but you still have a 6-string sitting in your living room that you haven't been able to play yet, follow this. Okay, I have a 3-string cigar box guitar tuned GDG. G, D, G. And if you've followed my lessons, we've posted them on cigarboxnation.com, or if you go to youtube.com/Shane Speal, you'll see all of my cigar box guitar lessons there. So let's take ones that are in open G. That little lick right there, I was starting in the middle string and I was doing a hammer onto the 3rd fret, and then the 3rd string open to the 3rd fret. And then do the same thing except hammer on the low string. And then you move to the 5th fret for the chord. And I'm going to move this camera down. 7th fret, 5th fret, and so on and so forth. You just pick a lick that you like to play on the 3-string cigar box guitar. Well, then pick up your 6-string. And I figured for this lesson I'd pull out my dobro. Oh, I love this thing. Now I have this tuned to an open G as well, but a 6-string open G, which is D. Actually, where is my little tuner? Because I always forget the exact note names. I play by ear. So you got D, G, D, G, B, D. Okay, so on the cigar box guitar, the 3 strings you've learned on are guitar goes backwards, so it's 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings. These 3 strings here, 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings. There's your cigar box guitar right there. That tuning is in those 3 strings. So, if we take that lick I just played on cigar box guitar, and we do it onto a 6-string open G regular guitar, and let that slide kind of fumble on to some of the other strings, and it'll clang a little, but listen to how it sounds. So what I'm encouraging you to do is take all of those things that you love to play on a cigar box guitar, tune a whatever guitar you have laying around the house into an open G, which is D, G, D, G, B, D. And then play those, work on these 3 strings here, but allow your slide to kind of hit the other strings as well. It's sloppy, but you know what? I freaking love sloppy slide guitar. It was Hound Dog Taylor that got me into all this in the first place, and that man patented slop, you know. that's what I got for you. Good luck this weekend. Try it out. If you want more lessons, check out youtube.com/Shane Speal. And back to you guys at the Gitty Gang headquarters. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back, and thanks to Shane Speal for another What's the Deal with Speal. And next is to my man, Ben Gitty Baker.
Each year at the end of May, we're asked to pray for the soldiers who have fallen along the way. But it don't seem quite enough, the surface barely scuffed with what we owe to America's fallen brave. So here's to the soldiers, the sailors and marines, to the flyers and those lost out at sea. Let's all give thanks in our own way, and not just on Memorial Day, to the ones who died to keep our country free. I think about the ones who gave it all, who stood up proud when they heard their nation's call. I think of the honor and the fame, the glory and the pain, to the one who fought and died standing tall. So here's to the soldiers, the sailors and marines, to the flyers and those lost out at sea. Let's all give thanks in our own way, and not just on Memorial Day, to the ones who died to keep our country free. The white crosses stretch out like the sea. Down in Arlington National Cemetery, as you look out on that scene, I hope you realize what it means, that they gave their lives to protect you and me. So here's to the soldiers, the sailors and marines, to the flyers and those lost out at sea. Let's all give thanks in our own way, and not just on Memorial Day, to the ones who died to keep our country free. Let's all give thanks in our own way, and not just on Memorial Day, to the ones who died to keep our country free. All right. Happy Memorial Day, everyone.
Was awesome. Thank you very much, Ben. That was a real treat. Original song written by Ben Gitty Baker to help us celebrate Memorial Day, and I think, as I can see a few people out there saying, it's a beautiful thing to hear. So thanks again, man. That was really good. All right, up next is our good friend, folk artist boss of all time, Jim Morris, has recently uploaded a video to cigarboxnation.com at the behest of the king of the cigar box guitar, Shane Speal. Shane posted a picture of this rather rudimentary instrument that he found, a picture that he found on the internet of a fiddle, very rudimentary, and Shane challenged the nation to only using this picture, no plans, only using this picture to replicate that instrument. And using only that picture, the boss folk artist that Jim Morris is, excuse me, he created what is ostensibly the coolest thing I've seen in a really long time. And so up next, Nick has for you this video of Jim Morris and his fiddle.
$18, $19, $20 years ago, Daddy worked a man named Cotton Eye Joe. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Cotton Eye Joe, Cotton Eye Joe, Cotton Eye Joe, Cotton Eye Joe. I'd have been married a long time ago if it had not have been for Cotton Eye Joe. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Cotton Eye Joe, Cotton Eye Joe, Cotton Eye Joe, Cotton Eye Joe. Cornstalk fiddle and a shoestring bow, playing that tune called Cotton Eye Joe. Where'd you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Cotton Eye Joe, Cotton Eye Joe, Cotton Eye Joe. Where did you come from? Cotton Eye Joe.
Hey everyone, welcome back, and thank you to Jim Morris for sending in that awesome video. Cheers. And I want to thank everyone who said nice things about that song. That song came to me yesterday as I was driving back from the hardwood store. I had to go on an emergency run to get more plywood for making those miter boxes. And on the way back, it just kind of popped into my head and got back here and fleshed out the verses. So I apologize if the sound was a little wonky on that. That was our first attempt at feeding an actual microphone, you know, like a vocal mic, and the guitar plugged in and having that sound like studio sound live. So we're going to keep working on that in the weeks and days ahead, I hope. So what we got now? We got What Corner. Now it's time for What Corner.
This guy right here. Not bad. So yeah, check it out. Walk Corner, here it is, yo. We got up first. Yo, you know this. If you would kindly submit your amazing work to us, we will kindly share it with the rest of you so you can see how awesome the rest of you are. And it's really kind of a fun thing to do. So, first up we have, Nick has for you today, a gentleman who is building this amazing... Oh my God, come on. Amazing. Got a little kick drum suitcase. This gentleman, Bill, down in Texas, submitted this to us, showing us that, and as he writes, he is making vintage suitcase kick drums. And I would also like to say some incredibly kick-butt kick drums. That is awesome. Nonetheless, Bill writes, recently added a line of drums that are fully electric, and this gives his drums a ton of extra horsepower. That horsepower, by the way, is powered by CB Gitty Crafter Supply, which we're psyched that he, this guy. So thank you very much for sharing that, Bill. He uses our pickups in his suitcase kick drums and fills the arenas with sound.
That's like a tambourine on one side. Oh, Lord.
Love it. Love it. Up next, Nick has for you from Carmen G. She writes, I was chosen to be a maker in residence for the Denver Public Library. For my project, I chose to build a cigar box guitar. Would you look at that thing? Not only did she build a sweet cigar box guitar, but she clearly has an eye for photography. Nice job, Carmen. She writes that she loves her Colorado-inspired cigar box guitar, and I would like to make note that Colorado is the Centennial State. And why is that? I only know this because I just looked it up on Wikipedia. I'm not that smart. It took 100 years to be accepted into the Union after the Declaration of Independence.
What year would that have been?
Ah!
1876, sir.
This guy right here. All right, moving along. All right. Next up, we have Bob B. Now, Bob is a high school teacher by day and a craftsman by night. He is up in Canada. He recently was featured on major Canadian media, the CBC, on television and print and digital media. CBC. And as he was saying in his interview with CBC, he was introduced to cigar box guitars at a farmer's market. And like so many of us, he went home and was like, I can do that. He built a few, gave them away as gifts, and then got bitten by the build bug. Started his own, as a lot of us do as well, started his own cigar box guitar business. He calls it Mountain Boys Guitar Company up there in Canada. Now, as Bob writes, this is part of the reason why I want to share it, not just for the fact that he's enjoying some press, but he's got a really cool story that I think that you can relate to. I know that we all can as well, and that is that that name, Mountain Boys Company, is a nod to Bob's grandfather, whom he lived next to as growing up. He was a neighbor with. And as Bob writes, we lived slightly up on a hill, my brothers and I. We visited frequently his grandfather, and when we would arrive, a lot of times my grandfather would say, the Mountain Boys are here. So when he started building cigar box guitars, one of Bob's first thoughts was, this is something that my grandfather would have found really cool. I'm going to name this company after him. And I think that is just awesome. A little nod to familial health and history, and I love that. Up next, Nick has for you some love from Stephen K. Now, Stephen writes that a few months ago he started teaching himself to build the cigar box guitar through YouTube videos and online resources. Now, he fell down the cigar box guitar rabbit hole like all of us do. Now, at first he wanted to buy one, but then he saw a step-by-step video on how to build one. And to say the least, he was inspired. He started watching more videos on YouTube like Del Puckett's, like Shane Speal's, like CB Gitty Crafter Supplies, and he began gathering materials. And I don't really have these set up in a great order here, but up next, Nick has for you another image because Stephen went on to build some guitars, and he ordered some tuners from us and began building. And a little over a month ago, he finished his first cigar box guitar and began practice using some of the things that he learned from Del and Shane. And then he donated these guitars that you're looking at to the Angelman's Syndrome Foundation, that his family hosts every year. It's a fundraiser for the Angelman's Syndrome Foundation. Now, it's a rare genetic disability. And so this is Stephen presenting a guitar to a winner of the fundraiser, the guitar that he donated. And in the next image you'll see as well the happy lady who won his cigar box guitar. Stephen just wants to take a moment to also relate that in some weird obsessive way, cigar box guitars have changed his life. And he wants to thank you, Ben, and everyone at CB Gitty, Shane Speal, Del Puckett, and anyone else whose work or videos have inspired him. So thank you very much, Stephen. That is really good of you. I love seeing good stuff being done by good people for good reason. That is awesome. And lastly, what we have is a guitar that was built by John C. and shared by Marty T. I'm just going to say Marty Tauber. Martin Tauber, our friend. You've heard him speak about Martin in the past. He's up in Maine, just a little north of us. He has Maine-made CBGs. He winds our Wicked Bucker pickups that you may have purchased by now. I highly recommend it. It's a flat top humbucker that you put on your box. But Martin's been going up to the Travis Mills Foundation up in Maine. And they they help veterans, injured veterans, people who have served in the military, to reacclimate themselves and get better and help their families adjust to the new lives that these injured people who have served our country help people get together and live a healthy life. And Travis Mills Foundation is being aided by Martin. They have a fundraiser coming up. Martin is donating guitars and all sorts of stuff to help this fundraiser. Thank you very much, Martin. Martin has included us. Ben has graciously donated to that as well. That guitar was built by John Cooper, a veteran himself. And I really wanted to share that because I think not only is it an appropriate weekend to do such a thing, but on an everyday thing that doesn't matter what country you're from in my book, that you're taking care of the people that serve the country is a really important thing. And I love seeing John and Marty and everyone else who does that, Ben, you know, who help the people that have helped us. So thank you very much. And that is Watt Corner.
Watt Corner.
Yes.
I believe most countries, a lot of countries, do have something equivalent to Memorial Day or Veterans Day or a combination thereof, where, you know, looking back and remembering and appreciating the people who did the hardest work of all when it comes to such things. I almost was going to do a song, an Australian song called the band played Waltzing Matilda, which is about such themes as well, but decided not to. So thank you for Watt Corner there, and thank all of you. I want to thank all of you, we both do, for submitting your photos, your videos, your stories that we can then share. All of it together, of course, hopefully helping to spread the word and to reach people who still, the vast majority of people have still never heard of cigar box guitars, or still never thought about the idea that, hey, that initial, it came up during Watt Corner there, and I was like, hey, I can build one of those. You see it, you're like, hey, a certain sort of person gets that, I could do that, and I want to do that, and that's kind of why we're all here right now, I think, huh?
Yeah, buddy.
So a couple of announcements. We got a couple of festivals, a whole slew of festivals coming up, actually. I believe both of these are the weekend of June 2nd, or this coming weekend. What do we got? We got Huntsville for the 14th year, I believe. The Flying Monkey Arts Center, which is kind of the group that helped get it started. My understanding is they've taken it back this year, and it's going to be kind of refocused on cigar box guitars this year. It had been drifting more towards a general artisans craft festival, so I think it's going to be a little refocused this year, which hopefully will be a good thing.
Got it.
Also, the Northwest Cigar Box Guitar Festival, put on by our friend Vinny up there, Mark Alana's. We've sent up a care package of canjos that he's going to be giving away to kids and all sorts of good stuff. So those are both coming up next weekend. Also, just a short note, our good buddy Nathan J. Roberts has just released a new album, a gospel album, on which he plays cigar box guitars. I've listened to a couple of tracks, just ordered the CD today so I can hear the whole thing. Sounds like a really well put together. He's an amazing musician, a great producer. He was actually behind that video we shared recently of the four guys, kind of a music video of them playing their cigar box guitars. So congratulations to Nathan on that. Check that out if you get the chance.
Can I add to this real quick?
Yeah, buddy.
Also next weekend, with all those festivals that are happening, is the Carolinas Box Guitar Club meeting Saturday at Big Al's Pub and Grubberia. And once again, if you're anywhere in North Carolina and you have an opportunity to go to any place called Big Al's Pub and Grubberia, I recommend it. More importantly, the Carolina Box Club guitar meeting will be there, which is awesome. And I think this weekend, Harold Stubbs, Cigar Box Guitar community member Harold Stubbs, will be having his own booth at a Cajun festival in Utah this weekend. Yeah.
A lot of people out there doing a lot of stuff. I know Matt Simpson, I see him out there mentioning Cigar Box Guitar Showcase on June 29th down there in Nashville. I believe he's going to be setting up as a vendor at that. Our buddy Magic Daddy.
I think Magic Daddy's also going to be at the Tattoo Festival, is that correct? That's coming out later in the summer, but anyways.
Everybody's doing a lot of stuff out there. I feel like a homebody compared to all you people. I tell you, I ain't doing nothing. Alright, what do we got here? We got a song to do, and then Nick's got a little special outro for you here that was supposed to happen earlier in the show and didn't. Alright, how's this song go?
I have no idea.
You want to lead it?
Not today.
Not today. Spin the Gitty Gang show on Cigar Box Nation TV. Spin the Gitty Gang show on Cigar Box Nation TV. And came to you live from the CB Gitty. Hampshire, New Hampshire.
Wall.
And this studio is not air conditioned. Let me tell you something about old Dan today. Woo!
See you next week.
Good jokes. Very funny. Yes, sir. What do you get when you drop a wash tub bass down a mine shaft? A flat minor. Yes, sir.